Unbroken is a World War II story of survival, resilience, and redemption that was written by Laura Hillenbrand. Laura wrote many books and magazines. She first wrote a book called Seabiscuit, an American Legend, which is about a famous racehorse. Louis Zamperini is the main character of Unbroken. He is also the most interesting. Louis made more than just mischief. He shaped who he would become in manhood. Louis was 20 months younger than his brother Pete. Pete was handsome, popular, impeccably groomed, and polite to elders, everything Louis wasn't. But Louis idolized him. Louis could be sweet at times. He was often short-tempered and often bullied. Pete Zamperini had big plans for his senior year. He would graduate with 10 varsity letters, 3 in basketball, 3 in baseball, and 4 in track. Seeing how Louis always ran from his problems in town, Pete thought he saw the same talent. Turns out, it wasn't Pete who first got Louis onto the track. It was his weakness for girls. In a classroom of 4 boys, Louis was the only man who looked like he can run. When everyone ran, Louis followed. He hated to run, but the applause was intoxicating. Pete never gave up on him. Louis dragged his feet, belly ached, and quit at the first sign of fatigue. Louis started winning. At the season's end, he became the first Torrance kid to make the all-city finals. He finished 5th. Pete was right about Louis. Louis's running career had to be put on hold when the Second World War broke. Louis enlisted into the Army Air Corps and became a bombarder. When Louis's original plane, the Superman, wasn't flyable, they got a new one, the Green Hornet. The Green Hornet wasn't suitable for flying long distances, but it was all they had. After the Green Hornet failed him, Louis survived the open waters for 46 days. He was then captured by the Japanese and held in camps. In the camps, he was beaten profusely by a guard named Bird. Bird really didn't care who he beat on, but he liked to pick Louis. After the war, Louis returned home and met a woman by the name of Cynthia. They fell in love and welcomed a baby girl into the world. Their life wasn't all rainbows and butterflies. They had some rough patches due to Louis' PTSD, but they made it work. Louis wanted to meet his abusers, but Bird never did. When the Zamperini family got word that Louis had disappeared, they talked about him in the present. They never talked about him in the past. They kind of put it like they were waiting for him to come home, just walk through the doors like any other day. Laura put it really simply. She said, what the Zamperinis were experiencing wasn't denial, but it wasn't hope. It was belief. Luis, Anthony, Pete, and Virginia still sensed Louis' presence. They could still feel him. Their distress came not from grief, but from the certainty that Louis was out there, in trouble, and they couldn't reach him. Being a family member of somebody who's disappeared has got to be heartbreaking, knowing that you can't do anything about it. When Louis was asked about what he went through in Japan, he simply said, "If I knew I had to go through those experiences again, I'd kill myself." What he went through was horrible, and no human being should ever have to go through that. But he did, and so did many others. And it's kind of heart-wrenching to think that that was the past, and there's still a present that is just like that. And it will probably never change. I myself would definitely recommend Unbroken to anyone interested in the military forces. There's no specific gender that can read this book. It's pretty open. Any age, in my opinion, would love this book. Maybe not little kindergartners or elementary kids, but in high school, college, adulthood, this is definitely a book you should read. By reading this book, it kind of gave me a bigger sense of what servicemen go through, because you hear stories, but sometimes they like to sweeten it up and not make it seem so bad when it really is.